All right, let's talk about the future. Specifically, the future of the battery. We are on this massive global quest, right? We're trying to find the perfect power source, something that can keep up with our crazy energy demands, but, without costing the Earth. So, what's it going to be? What's going to power our world tomorrow?
I mean, just think about it for a second. Your phone, your laptop, hey, maybe even your car. Almost everything you own runs on a battery. Our entire world is basically built on portable power, and we totally take it for granted, don't we? But the very technology that makes all of this possible, it's hitting a major, major crossroads.
But have you ever stopped to think about what's really inside them? And maybe more importantly, as our thirst for power just keeps growing, are we accidentally creating a problem that we just can't solve? Let's crack one open, figuratively of course, and see what's inside the batteries we rely on every single day.
And that really brings us to our big dilemma, the hidden cost of all this power. See, the very batteries that are powering our lives right now, well, they might not be sustainable enough to power our future. And it all boils down to one thing: what they're made of.
Okay, so the king of the hill right now, the reigning champion of the battery world, is the lithium-ion battery. You've heard of it, Leon. But here's the catch. To make one, you need this very specific cocktail of ingredients. We're talking lithium, cobalt, manganese, nickel, and even natural graphite. And guess what? All of those are now considered critical materials.
So what does that even mean, critical? Well, it all comes down to something called supply risk. And the best way to think about it is like this. Imagine you're a baker, and you can only get your flour from one single farm, halfway across the world. That's a huge supply risk, right? Well, for batteries, that risk comes from geopolitics, who controls the market, and, this is a big one, how hard it is to find a substitute.
And that right there is the core of the problem. Don't get me wrong, lithium-ion batteries are amazing performers. They're the reason our phones last all day. But their total dependence on these critical elements creates this whole chain of economic and environmental headaches, starting at the mine and ending up right in the device in your pocket.
So what if there's another way? I mean, what if we could build a really powerful battery using stuff that's, well, basically everywhere? That's where we get to what some are calling the sodium solution, an abundant alternative.
So the big question is there a better, more sustainable way to power our world? It's the question that's keeping researchers up at night all over the globe. And you know what? The answer might be in an element that's literally all around us. Yeah, even in the salt shaker on your kitchen table.
So let's talk about sodium. On one hand, you've got lithium with its high supply risk, and on the other, sodium. It is the sixth most abundant element in the Earth's crust. It's everywhere. This completely flips the script. We go from a conversation about scarcity to one about abundance. And that, my friends, could be a total game changer for energy storage.
And the good news doesn't stop there. It's not just about the sodium itself. You see, lithium-ion batteries, they need mined natural graphite for a key part called the anode. That comes with its own supply and environmental issues. But sodium-ion batteries, they can use something called hard carbon, which can be made sustainably from things like biomass and biowaste. I mean, turning waste into batteries, that is a huge win for the planet.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking. If sodium-ion is this amazing, why isn't it in my phone right now? It's a fair question. And the answer is, well, like with any new tech, there's always a trade-off. It's all about performance versus the planet. So let's actually look at the numbers and see how they stack up.
All right, so here we're comparing the contenders. On the left, a really popular type of lithium-ion battery called LFP. On the right, a new and promising sodium-ion version called NPBA. Now, first thing you'll notice, energy density. Lithium still has the edge there. It packs more punch per kilogram. But then look at cycle lifetime. How many times you can charge and discharge it? They're tied, 7,000 cycles. And maybe the most important part, the sodium battery uses common iron, while the LFP still needs that critical lithium. Very interesting.
So here's the bottom line. While lithium might be a little ahead on pure power today, sodium is catching up, and it's catching up fast. In fact, research is showing that sodium-ion batteries, or SiBs, already have these exceptional sustainability scores, and scientists are projecting that their energy density is on track to match the LFP batteries we're using right now. That makes them a seriously attractive option for the future.
So everything we've talked about so far, lithium, sodium, those are chemical batteries. But now, I want you to just kind of set all that aside. Forget everything you think you know about how a battery works, because we are about to dive into a completely different kind of battery, a whole new frontier of power.
1,000 times. Just let that number sink in. That's the potential energy density of something called a nuclear battery compared to a regular chemical one. It's a number so big it sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, but trust me, it's very, very real. So, what on earth is a nuclear battery? Okay, first things first, it's not a tiny nuclear reactor. Instead of a chemical reaction, it generates a steady trickle of electricity from the natural spontaneous decay of radioactive isotopes. Think of it less like an explosion and more like a power source with this incredibly slow, steady burn that can last for a ridiculously long time.
Now, before you get too excited, you will not be seeing one of these in your smartphone anytime soon. These things are built for the extremes. They're designed for situations where you absolutely need power for decades with zero chance for maintenance. We're talking deep space probes, military gear in hostile territory, or scientific sensors planted way out in the middle of the Arctic.
Okay, so let's recap. We've looked at the powerhouse we're using right now, lithium-ion. We've seen a super sustainable challenger in sodium-ion. And we've peeked into the future with a long-term specialist, the nuclear battery. So what does this all mean? Who wins the battle for the battery of the future?
Well, here is the big reveal. The future isn't about one battery winning. It's not some heavyweight boxing match where one technology gets a knockout. The real answer, the real winner, isn't a single battery at all. It's about building an entire ecosystem of power solutions.
And this is what that future ecosystem could look like. It's a portfolio of power, with the right battery for the right job. You'll still have high-performance lithium-ion for things that need that extra punch, like high-end EVs. Then you'll have sodium-ion becoming the workhorse for our everyday tech and maybe even storing energy for the power grid. And for those really out there, extreme environments, that's where nuclear batteries step in. See? Everyone has a job to do.
So as our world demands more and more power, the real question isn't which battery will win. The better question is, how do we build this whole portfolio of power? The answer to that is going to define the technology we all rely on for generations. So I'll leave you with this. What kind of battery will you be relying on? Which piece of this puzzle do you think is the most important?